You're listening to Wet Shaving Talk, powered by SharpOlogist.com, where we're dedicated to preserving the art and skill of classic shaving. I'm your host, Joe Borrelli, and today is February 9th, 2026. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast on this beautiful day. Yes, that's right, beautiful day here in South Florida. I got to tell you guys something. Wasn't very beautiful last week. We actually had weather in the 30s, lower 30s here in South Florida. And for the first time, I'd say in probably forever, my car had ice on it. So, wow. I can tell you right now, guys, I have a lot of tools, big toolbox. I'm very much into fixing things and working on my car and stuff. I have an air compressor, I have power tools, all that stuff, air compressed tools. All that good things, right? I have a lot of tools. The one tool I do not own is a ice scraper. So having ice on your car for the first time ever in Florida and going to work, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I turned the defroster on. I actually had to use a putty knife to scrape the ice off my windshield. So that was pretty incredible. It hasn't happened to me, and I can't even tell you if it ever has down here in Florida. So it was in the 30s, had some really good weather. If you read online about iguanas falling out of trees, it is 100% true, by the way. Iguanas do fall out of trees when it gets cold, and they just sit there, and they're invasive. So a lot of people we were picking them up and bringing them into the Florida wildlife drop-off spots where they will humanely kill them. But they are invasive species, and really the reason why iguanas are in Florida is because of pets. People have them as pets, and they let them go, and they flourish. But they eat a lot of vegetation. They kind of disrupt the ecosystem because they don't belong here, and they lay like 200 eggs when they lay eggs, and there's tons of them everywhere. So the cold kind of knocks them out a little bit, and yeah, that's where we're at with those guys there. So hope you all had a great Super Bowl Sunday. That was a very interesting game. If you watched it, I hope for those fans of New England, I would not be upset about that outcome. I'd say, hey, that was a good year, and I think they're going to have a promising future. And Seahawks fans, you guys got to be very happy. You had a great win, and it was a great game. So I enjoyed watching it, as always, the Super Bowl. And for years and years, I think the Super Bowl starts off a little spongy. I think the guys have too much celebrating, too many days off, too much going on prior to the kickoff. But this one seemed to kind of roll right in. And I think it was one of the better ones. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but one of the better games, regardless of the outcome. I thought it was a good game. So I hope you all enjoyed it. And for those of you living in the United States, we got the Olympics going on right now. So that's awesome, guys. Hey, Olympics, what better time to watch curling than to watch it now? I think it's really exciting to see it. And next up is really here in Florida, at least it's spring training baseball starting up in about a week and a half. So looking forward to that. I go to a few games every year. I love going to spring training baseball. It's a great way to go to a game for like $3 or $4. Sometimes if you get lucky on StubHub, you can get some really cheap tickets and have a great time out and enjoy the nice weather and everything. So yes, that's right. Lots going on here in Florida and all over the world. I know that. So let's keep our eyes glued to the Olympics and have a great couple of weeks here while we transition from football to baseball with basketball and all that stuff. So yeah, I know I don't really talk too much about sports on here, but I am into sports. I'm not a junkie to the point where all I'm watching is sports. I'm really into it. I don't get really upset if the team loses or anything, but I do like to watch, and I like to watch the competitive nature of a lot of them. I especially like college sports too. I love watching college football, especially rooting for my team, Florida Atlantic, where I went to school, which is luckily for me is right down the street. I live about 5 miles from the university, so I get to go to the football games pretty close, and it's a nice trip to go. I really do like watching the Panthers as well, Florida Panthers. My wife and my son, the three of us have gone to about 4 games this year. We try to we get good deals online. Although when they're defending the Stanley Cup championship and coming back from there, defending champions, it's difficult to get good deals on seats because most of the games are sold out. But still, they come and it's fun to go to there too. But enough of all that small talk. Let's get on with some stuff going on in the wet shaving world, which is why we're all here, right? So the Maggards Meet-Up has been announced. It's going to be in April of 2026. I got a little bit of information on that to share with you guys. I'm going to try and make it out to this one. I've had a couple of emails sent to me regarding, hey, are you going to be there? I am going to try. I've been looking at flights and stuff. I'd like to bring my entire family, so my wife and my son will come too. So I don't know if I'm going to have a booth. I was considering doing a booth, bringing my laptop, my recording stuff, which isn't much, and then just kind of doing a live, kind of like a live podcast there as well, just talking about it, talking to people, having them come up and say, hey, fans or whatever, and then selling some books. I have some books to sell too. So that would kind of offset the cost of the trip and for the table. But I'd also just like to go as a spectator and really enjoy it and then just kind of like meet everybody. So I will be posting in the next couple of weeks and probably by the next cast if I am going. And then if you guys are interested in just meeting up at the event or afterwards, I know there's an after party afterwards or at a restaurant. I know there's a couple of restaurants that are sponsoring with the tickets. I'll be more than happy to meet up with with some fans and stuff at a place, and we could talk a little bit about wet shaving or anything really. I know a lot of people are going, so it's going to be a great trip. I think it's going to be a great time. First time I've ever been to Michigan, so I would love to go and see that historical Maggards building that they just restored and get to see a good wet shaving store in the flesh. Last time I've been in a wet shaving store like that was I guess at the Big Shave Big Shave West. Sorry, when I went down to Pasadena, and I went to the old town shaving company, which is gone now. They retired. And then, of course, I go to Pasteur's at least once a year when I go to New York. So hopefully we'll see you there. Alpha Shaving has a new 904L steel razor that just came out, the Futura Fatty. I'm going to talk a little bit about that razor and what 904L steel is. A little bit. It's a higher quality steel. It's used in a lot of high-end jewelry. The Holy Black had a release for Valentine's Day. It was the Silent Hex release. It's like a perfume. We'll talk about that. Wilde and Harte razors. This is a brand based out of the UK, making high-end razor brands and looking at some of their new items as well. And Old Spice Classic aftershave. Is it discontinued in Canada? Yes or no? I'll tell you what I found after having a listener send me actually an email on it. So without further ado, guys, let's get on with the show. Maggards Meet-Up 2026 is coming up, guys. It is rapidly occurring. It's in the last weekend of April. So if you're going, guys, it's going to be a one heck of an event. It is every single year. So the time it will be located at Maggard's actual shop. So they're going to be opening up to the public for everybody on that. And they're going to have a bunch of booths and stuff like that in there and a bunch of wet shavers. So that's what you really want to go for, is all the good stuff and everything. It's $36 for admission, but you got to purchase it before April 23rd to get the door prizes. You can buy it up until then, but you want to get the door prizes and get set up for the raffle. Really fun winning raffles. I know. I know a lot of people win, so you definitely want to go. And they're actually limiting it to 180 people and 18 vendors this year instead of. I know in past years they've had more, so it's more of a smaller event. But 180 people still plenty of wet shavers to get with and to really to get to know and meet. So what are you going to look at? You're going to look what's included with your ticket. I looked it up online and I posted it in the show notes here. You're going to get a $14 meal voucher per person for any part of the participating restaurants, plus free soft drinks, water, and beer, and hard seltzers during the event. Oh, that's worth it for me right there, guys. That's awesome. There's going to be guaranteed samples and freebies from most attending vendors, so they're going to give out some stuff. And then we've got entry to the drawings over 100 door prizes, including high-value items. So there's going to be some really cool stuff. You want to definitely do that. For over 100 prizes, 180 people, that gives you a great opportunity. That's more than a 50% chance of winning. So I think that's awesome that you will get a chance to win. I'm definitely going to be part of that if I go. And then a pay-it-forward table. So you could just bring some stuff and grab some stuff and put it down on the table for free. So this will be samples and new items, and you can pick up and just share. It's kind of like a little bit of a swap meet. So, guys, if you haven't been to a wet shaving meetup in your time as a wet shaver, and I know a lot of you guys started during COVID, and a lot of guys have been around for a while and have been to a lot of them, as they're not as frequent as they used to be. They are a time to where it really brings everything into reality, right? You can go online now. When I started wet shaving, I started in 2010, right, or about 2010, 2011, or beginning of 2011, right around the end of 2010. And when I started, I looked into wet shaving and stuff, and most of it was just online. I mean, at the time, it was really only Badger and Blade and Straight Razor Place. They were the only forums out there at the time. So I know I was kind of just like communicating with people in there. I was getting very active in the forums, and I posted a lot, and I asked a lot of questions, and a lot of guys gave me some stuff. Because at the time, when I was there, I was in school, and I didn't really have too much spare money. So I was kind of like, oh, you know what, I'll try it someday. And then somebody's like, hey, let me just piff you some stuff, like pay it forward. So I really appreciated that. And then when I got, a little bit more stable and got out of school and stuff, I started piffing a lot of stuff out too. So always pay it forward. When you get something, make sure that, you give something out eventually when you can. And the karma comes back to you a millionfold. So when we did these meetups, back then there were no real meetups. There were some guys meeting up here and there, and I met up with a guy named Murray who lived in the area that I live in, and he saw me on Badger and Blade, and we met up and we talked a little bit about wet shaving. That was like my first meetup, right? That was back in like 2012, and we talk, and I still I haven't kept in contact with him, which is a shame for me, but he still posts regularly on Badger and Blade, so I think this will be a great opportunity to hit him up. And, him and I would just talk and stuff like that. And I was messing around with straight razors at the time and safety razors. And he's a straight razor guy himself. So it was great to actually get to know somebody that, that was into it. If moving forward, it's going to a real big meetup. I went to one back in 2015, just over 10 years ago, with the South Florida Wet Shavers. And that was a great meetup. It was in Miami. Again, I never went to a multiple person meetup before other than that, just meeting up with that one person. And got to see a bunch of guys bring their stuff. I brought some of my stuff, and it was really cool. And I made some great friends there. That lasted for quite a while. I believe that group is still still actively participating in some things, but they don't do meetups anymore or anything like that I know of. And then when I went to the Big Shave West back in a few years ago, I think it's 2017. I don't even remember. 2016, 2017. It was great. I got to meet a lot of you guys out there. Still podcasting, just starting it off at then and writing articles. And a lot of people, we got to talk and stuff, and it was just great. It was like kind of like one of the first places you can go to where you felt like all the wet shavers, you could talk about wet shaving. Because really, in reality, it's tough to talk wet shaving in work or anything like that. Because a lot of people, they don't do it, right? They don't wet shave. They don't understand. It's not easy to talk to. Now, believe it or not, at my work, where I work, a couple of guys do wet shave, and I was shocked. When I smelled one of my, actually a manager that works with me, kind of like, hey man, where'd you get that? It smells like Barrister and Mann or Sterling. So, yeah, it's Sterling Soap Company. You probably don't know about it. I said, oh, I sure do. And that was pretty cool to have that conversation and talk about wet shaving with a couple team members. I had another guy that was talking about hobbies that he was in, and he was buying from Shave Nation, which is Geo Fatboy. I was like, whoa, you knew that guy? He's like, yeah, I've been buying from that person for a few years. So it's really interesting to see that, the wet shaving is out there. It's just kind of like something you don't talk about. So that was the first few times that I talked to anybody in regards to wet shaving in general. So it was fun. And I could tell you that if you're on the fence about going and, you want to make an opportunity and you keep thinking about it, just take it, just do it. I know it's far, it's all that kind of stuff. I'm going to do my best to get there. If I can get there time-wise with everything going on, I'll definitely be there. It's tough because before I had a kid, I would be able to go and just go by myself and go for a day and come back the next day. That's kind of how I travel. I do a lot of those day trips. I'll just go for one night and then come back the next day just so I can attend the event, have the fun, but I got to get back to work and get back to my responsibilities as an adult as quick as possible. So I do recommend it if you guys haven't been there, and try it out. If you are in the fence, just do it. Make it happen, right? And then get to meet everybody. It'll definitely put a new perspective on wet shaving to you. And if you're local, if you're in Florida and you want to meet up, hey guys, just let me know when there's a Florida meetup. I'll be there. It's a lot easier for me to get around the state of Florida than it is to get out. And then in certain times of the year. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do a wet shaving talk podcast. Maybe we'll do a meetup in the near future. Who knows? Let's see. So, guys, another thing I wanted to discuss was, really is this new razor from Alpha Shaving. It's Futura. It's called the Futura Fatty. It's got a big handle, and it's a design that they've already had. But the new thing they have now, it's 904L steel, which a lot of people will say, well, what's 904L steel? So I kind of did a little bit of a breakdown in the show notes for you. 904 steel is like a stronger steel. It's got like a little bit more corrosion. It does maintain a higher polish, right? And it's resistant to pitting and stain, but it's not as solid as, I guess, 316L, but it polishes up better. So companies like Rolex and Omega, they use it. They use this type of steel for, I guess you could say, for the actual polish on it to get a nice stainless steel watch, right? Rolex has been using 904 since I believe the late 80s. And this is good for, it's very corrosion. It's good against corrosion, but it also holds a higher polish. It's a little bit softer than 316. So if you notice, if you have a watch with 316 steel, it will take the beating a little bit better, but it holds a better polish, and it's kind of, I guess, a little bit lighter in a sense. But I don't know much about the weight. I don't think it is that bad. But so this razor is made out of that, and it's going to have a real high mirror finish, and it's exceptionally resistant to pitting and staining. I would believe so, but still, you can still get dings in it and stuff a little bit easier than 316. Just letting you know from experience, from watches and stuff that I like to wear. I've noticed that the 904 is a little bit not as strong, but this razor is also limited to 10 pieces to start, and it's all pre-order. So it's the pre-order event is happening this month, and it should be released in the next couple of months. If you get a chance, check them out on their website. The Holy Black came out with their annual February release for Valentine's Day. This is usually either unisex or just a female based perfume that usually comes out. So this one came out with about a week ago. It did a pre-order, and there was a pre-order of 50 or 100 bottles. I forgot how many it was. And it's shadowed with the sweetness of a ripe blackberry, but not bright or candied. It's more like a bruised and deep one with like it was crushed under velvet gloves. Cool thread of violet leaf and black tea keeps it opened, restrained, and controlled, almost ceremonial. So as it settles, the heart reveals a soft animalistic musk, and the fruit recedes, and then it kind of leaves like a warmth, intimate, and unsettling feeling in the best way. I'm just reading it right off the notes. So it's available in a 50 ml with a titanium fume quartz crystal bead and a bulb atomizer. So that's really awesome, guys. So this was released. I think they're getting shipped now. I don't know if there are any available left, but it was one of their releases for Valentine's Day. So very cool bottle and cool concept as well. So Wilde and Harte is a new razor that I recently discovered. It's been around a little bit, not too long, but these are some high-end razors made in the UK. They're all hand polished and designed and CNC machined, I believe. Yep, from 316L. So we're just talking about that. And guys, like again, we're talking about 904 and 316. I don't notice much of a difference with polish on it. I know a lot of people do, and I know a lot of companies, like I said, watch companies are going to 904L for dive watches and stuff, and regular watches for stainless steel. But I would honestly say that I've had both, and I think 316L is just as fine, right? It's just as good as 904, I think, with razors and with anything really. So I think, just other than the mirror polish might be a little bit better. But honestly, if it's mirror polish and you could see yourself in it, I don't know much difference. I don't know if I would notice the difference myself. But so they're designed with a 0.65 millimeter blade gap. So it's a little bit on the more aggressive to mild to aggressive side, but a lot of people talk about blade gap. I do as well. I've had razors that have a high blade gap, such as the BBS1, which has a 1 millimeter blade gap, and it's actually not. It doesn't feel aggressive. It's more mild and shaves very nicely. So I wouldn't go by that so much. I go by more like the design of the head to see, the actual guard and all that as well. Several models. The Field Marshal. You have the Line of Kings, which has a more of an octagon handle. And then there's the Osterly, which is a stainless steel razor with a minimalistic and sleek design. And all these razors are produced and made to order. So if you order one, it might take a little while to get it. They're going to CNC machine it for you. And they're all, I believe, serial numbered and dated as well. So if you haven't seen those razors, definitely give them a shout out or check them out if you're into the high-end stuff. I believe the price is around 400 to 700 euros. So they are expensive. It's up there. But you never know, guys. You know what? Sometimes when you buy a razor like that, you buy it for life, and it's actually a really good piece. And I could tell you, by having a couple of really good razors, definitely, they're fun to shave with and have fun to own. So the question of the day, is Old Spice discontinued in Canada? Okay, so this is something coming from a viewer, and I saw a thread on Badger and Blade as well on it. So I started to do some research, and I could not find that it was discontinued in Canada yet. I just found that it was out of stock in some places. So Old Spice has been discontinued. The actual cologne or aftershave, that classic scent that everybody's grandpa had and great-grandpa had, and probably now great-great-grandpas had, has been discontinued in Europe, in certain parts of Europe, but it has not been so far in Canada that I can find. So if you're looking for it, guys, just remember Amazon still has it in stock. It's still about $8.50 a bottle. Today I went to my local Walmart, which is right in my hometown, and I noticed they still were fully stocked on Old Spice and with all the other stuff that people might think would be going out. So it's all there. All of the regular Aqua Velva's there. All the classic scents are still in stock and ready to go. So I think I don't know if it's discontinued yet, but if you do notice as a store does, remember you can still buy it on Amazon and other online retailers. All right, everyone. So I'm so happy to be bringing this podcast to you in a better weather. I can tell you that much. It's not too bad, and it's I could tell you that living in Florida, I have gotten not used to the heat, and it's tough to go in the cold. Even though I do a little day trip, I do a one-day trip to New York. I try to go every year to feel some cold right before Christmas. It was a little bit different here. I don't think I was dressed. We have the right clothes, so I could definitely tell you that. So I hope you all are staying warm out there and having a great winter, and looking forward to hopefully seeing everybody at the Maggards Meet-Up. So that concludes the show for this week. Remember, our show is powered by sharpologist.com, which your father didn't teach you about shaving. I want to give a special thanks to Mark Mantic59 for everything that he does for the wet shaving community and for supporting our show. And of course, most of all, you guys, the listeners. Don't forget to check out my blog, shavestraightandsafe.com. And then also feel free to email me anytime at joe.wetshavingnews@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to check out my book, The Modern Guide to Straight Razor Shaving. It's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Pasteur's Pharmacy in New York City. All right, guys, our show will be in a couple more weeks. Until then, shave straight and shave safe. Bye-bye now.